on behalf of Prof. Adjetey, I believe it's announced that Prof. Adjetey will come. She's coming on behalf of Prof. Adjetey. We couldn't be with us today, but she's also well versed, and I know too much time. I am taking business finance. Business finance. And it's for those who have started business or those who have started business and those who are intend to start business or want to enter into business. There are a couple of things we'll be treating today, and I will need you to cooperate with me as we go through some of these things. One moment, please. We will try and cover as much as possible, and we will be going very quickly. And so kindly engage. If you have any question, just hold on. When I'm done, then I'll open the floor for us to engage and ask and attend to our questions. So one, we are going to discuss sources of finance for a business. The sources of finance. We also go into financial planning, how to access loans or credit from financial institutions. Then we go into insurance and pensions. Then we go to Q&A. So I believe we're going to touch on quite a number of things, but it's going to be snappy. So you pardon me if I don't dwell too much on one side. Okay, thank you very much. So, sources of funds. Sources of funds for business. Today, many people complain that, Charlie, I don't have money to start my business. I want to start business, but I don't know where to get money. Business, if you don't have money, you can't start it. And so people tend to wonder, where do I get the money? If I go to the bank, the banks are not willing to give me a loan because they say I should have this number of years of experience working on that job before they will be able to consider me to give me a loan. So what can I do? Now, there are three major forms of or sources of funds for a business. We have the equity source, the debt source, and then we have other sources. Now, for the equity source, it basically means that the sources where if you get those funds into your business, then it makes you a full or part owner of that business. Basically, putting it that way. So it could be from salaries, it could be from bonuses for those who are employees of institutions, salary salaries, bonuses, whatever it is. If you are being paid something on a regular based on where you are working, you can be putting money aside. Or if for those who are able to get bonus, huge bonus, you can put it aside and then start some business with it. It can also be from some other form of personal investments that you've come up with. Like I mentioned, the salaries and the bonuses may be from your salaries directly, but you may be doing something on the side or may get some other form of money that you invest over time, so that I am investing with this investment company and I'm keeping my money there. I hit 10,000 and I think it is sufficient to enter into this business. Another form of equity source is, for instance, partnership, where this person has 10,000 cedis. This person has the ideas, and then they can partner, and both of them will have a certain percentage of shares in the business. So that is one source. You can have what we call angel investors and all those things. People who can assess you and say, well, the business idea you are having is quite good. I have enough money. I'm willing to invest into your business, and I'll be taking 30%, 40%, 50%, or whatever percent of whatever profit comes out. They may not be involved in the day-to-day running of the business, but they would be investing their money, and of course, it means they will expect something. So that's the equity source. The second one is the debt source. Debt, where you are owing. You end up owing the person. The person is not part of your business. So that's usually where you go and borrow from someone. So we have loans from financial institutions. That one we know. You go to any financial institution for a loan. Or trade credit. Now, trade credit is where, for instance, the person says, I trust you enough, so take these goods. When you sell, bring me my money. And then you would have made your profit. Or the person says, take the goods, in 1 week time, bring me my money. So your job is to ensure that in less than a week you have sold, so that you can come and make payment for the goods. So that's trade credit. We also have some leasing. They can lease something to you, a machinery, a platform, whatever it is, a home, whatever it is, that go ahead, use it. As and when you make profit, you give me my share. Or over at certain intervals, bring me my share. So that is the debt source. The other sources could be from grants from government or NGOs. There are various programs that are currently running in Ghana, and some NGOs are also running theirs, and they are willing to support individuals to start their business. Recently, the government has been speaking about You Start, and to be able to support youth who want to enter into certain businesses. So these are all platforms that you can get. Those are other sources that you can focus on. So these are sources of finance, basically. Now let's go to financial planning. Now, when we talk about financial planning, we are talking about how you handle your finances to be able to meet your objectives as a business. How you manage your finances to be able to meet your objectives or your vision as a business. So basically, that is financial planning. You don't plan in a vacuum. So what will be expected of you as part of financial planning is to, first of all, make a decision that this is the kind of business I want to enter into, having assessed the business environment. Having assessed the business environment. So if, for instance, there's something you like doing, but the business environment or where you are located, that kind of business will not thrive there. Even if you enter into it, it's likely you are going to face problems. So you want to rear pig and then be selling pork in an environment where you know nobody eats pork over there. Then it means you should have markets beyond that location. So you should look at your business environment and then make the decision, and then you plan towards that. There are a couple of things that go into that. Today we will not dwell too much on the business plan, but another occasion we'll go more into details as to how to develop a proper business plan. Today, like I said, we'll be going hitting on the things, and then we'll be moving on from there. But you need a business plan. You need a financial plan. Know where to get those funds to start your business. We started by talking about the sources of finance. So your financial plan, know where to get the money from, plan for it, plan on how you are going to turn it over. If, for instance, you go for a loan facility, you know that I'm supposed to pay on a monthly basis. You should schedule that. You should not be too much indebted. So that if your business is basically based on debt, it will depend on your business model. Some business models will thrive on that. But there are other business models, if all you do is to owe people, what is going to happen is that you make very little profit, because if you are owing, you have to pay with interest. And so for those of us who even like taking loans, you should consider the interest rate, you should consider the return you are going to make from that business, and the fact that if I make this return and I pay off my loan with the interest that I'm supposed to pay, would I still have enough to stay in business? All these things should be part of your plan. Your business plan, your financial plan should also consider how you can grow over time. Today, we know how, for instance, inflation affects people and all that. So you ask yourself, if I continue selling at this rate, would I be able to grow my business? Would I still continue buying in the next few months if I should maintain the price at this rate? But if I also should go increase my rate too much, it's likely to affect the business, because people will not buy. They may go to other competitors. So have that at the back of your mind, and then in the competitive space, make your plans that way. Now, if you're going to we move to the next one, that is accessing loans or credit from financial institutions. There are times financial institutions will come knocking at your doors to encourage you that, oh, having looked at your business, I think we are in a position to help you if you need money. But there are other times you yourself will look at your business and say, this thing, if I get a little injection of funds, it's going to help my business grow much faster because I want to invest into this or that. And once I invest into these things, it would certainly give my business the boost needed for it to grow. So that is one reason, or these are some of the reasons people approach a financial institution to say, I want a loan. I want a credit facility. Now, when you go to a financial institution, there are a couple of things they are going to look at to give you your loan, that loan. They are going to look at your cash flow. Cash flow, in business, we say what? Cash is king. Why is cash king? Because it is what you are going to use to run your business. If you don't have money to run the business is likely to grind to a halt over time. Especially if you have gone for a loan facility, you should be able to pay. If it is repayment is due and you are not in the position to pay, then it is becoming a problem. And then your ability to even get loan facilities from other institutions or other people becomes a problem. Even for the trade credit, you realize that if every time you go for plantain, that, oh, I'm going to sell, I'll bring you the money. And then you take the plantain away, you are giving 1 week. And then in 2 weeks, you have not brought the money. 3 weeks, you've not brought the money. 4 weeks, the person is calling you, chasing you before you bring the money. You realize that your credit worthiness is going to be affected. The next time you go, that person will not be willing to give you credit again. And business people, they talk. So the others will also hear that you don't pay. You don't pay on time. The other people that you were giving that trade credit have paid up, but you probably have not paid up. Once you are delaying, then we cannot trust you again. It's the same thing with the banks and the financial institutions. If you are not repaying in time, it's going to be a problem. And so we've got to make sure that we put measures in place that ensure that we'll be able to repay in time. That is why your cash flow is going to be very important. That, okay, over time, where do you get your income from? Where do you take your money to? How do you save? How do you repay? Are you able to repay in time? All those things will be considered. Your history, financial history. That's why banks or financial institutions will encourage you to open bank accounts and to be saving. So they are able to, if you say you save, or these are the volumes, or this is your turnover, they would want to see your bank statement. And that will tell them that, oh, indeed, this is how much has been passing through. The unfortunate thing is that there are instances people do a lot of big business, and then they'll keep a huge chunk of the money as cash on them, and then send a little to the bank. Probably at the back of their mind, oh, the one they are taking to the bank is for saving purposes. The one they use for the business, they have to keep on them. That's all well and good. But then the problem is, what proof would you have to show that indeed you are doing those volumes? Anybody who comes to you, how can you convince the person that indeed you are able to sell 10,000, 20,000? Because especially in the informal sector, you don't issue receipts. There's no evidence of the goods that came. There's no, those you bought from the market, they didn't give you receipts. You to those you sold to, you didn't give them receipts. There's nothing to show. And there's no money also going through the bank statement. So it becomes a problem. So this is something we should take note of. As much as possible, those who understand how this thing works, they make sure every peso passes through their account. There are many instances someone will bring a deposit to the bank, and then that same day he's cashing the amount he needs, that little one he needs. You would have said, oh, but you made sales of 11,000. You need 1,000 cedis on you. Why don't you bring the 10,000 to the bank and then keep the 1,000? But they may end up bringing all the 11,000 and then later come for the 1,000 that they will need to take care of some bills or something, because they want to make sure that everything reflects, because eventually it's going to help them. The person who makes sure everything reflects has a higher likelihood of convincing that financial institution of the volumes they are making than the person who wants to keep everything in their pocket, because like I said earlier on, there's no evidence to that effect. So we would discuss cash flow. Let me go quickly on the cash flow. So cash flow, they say, is the lifeblood of your business. It is a measurement of the amount of cash that comes into and out of your business in a particular period of time, right? Now, when we talk about positive cash flow, it means it occurs when the cash entering the business is more than the cash leaving the business. Negative cash flow occurs when your outflow of cash is greater than your incoming cash. I believe you understand that. Okay. So what are some of the problems or the common cash flow problems? What are some of the challenges? For instance, for someone starting a business, it could be that you underestimate the cost of the startup. Sometimes that becomes a problem. So you start the business. Oh, I can do this with this money. And then you buy this, you buy this, you buy this. Then you realize that you are stuck in the middle. You can't complete the process because there is something you forgot about, which is also critical to your business. Another problem sometimes is that you expect profitability too quickly. Oh, within this short period of time, I can make my money. But then there could be other things that could prevent your customers from repaying in time, or can prevent you from selling and making your money within the period you expected to. Sometimes the problem too is that we don't create a cash flow budget. We don't plan that this is how I want things to go. So I sell this quantity at this price, and I bought this quantity at this price, and these are the other expenses. And so this is the profit I'll be making. We forget about that. For instance, you go to Makola, you go to Agbogloshi, you make purchases, you go to Mamobi, wherever, whichever market. Your plan is that I'm going to buy these goods, right? I'm going to buy, let's say, granite to come and sell. You've called, you've been told that this is the price. So you carry that amount and you go. And you indicate that this is going to be my markup. This is how much I would add to it. And so you come and you sell. But you forgot that there is transportation. You forgot that bit. You also forgot that when you got there, because you can't carry it, you are going to get truck pushers, kaya you, somebody, and you are going to pay them. All goes into your business expenditure. But sometimes we forget about them, but they are directly related to your business. You have to take note, and you have to account for all of them. Otherwise, you'll be doing business, but you'll be wondering, where's my money going? Another thing is that, it's not just about expecting to grow quickly. Sometimes even growing too quickly can be a problem, because you've not learned to manage the funds. I've seen people who have gotten some income or some people ready to support them for their business. And then what do they go and do? They go to the nearest company where they can get for themselves some bespoke furniture, very beautiful furniture for their offices, and they come and set up. If you enter their office, very beautiful place, but then the money is now locked up in that furniture, because they've gone to some people's offices and they've seen that the place looks very nice, so they also think they can do that. And so when they get money that they were not really contemplating, whether somebody is helping them or whether they made some huge profit based on some windfall, wherever it came from, and then they go and invest into things that are not really important, it can stifle your business, and that affects your cash flow. Overlooking high overhead costs, I mentioned some of them, like maybe transport and all those things. Even your electricity bill, you don't have to take them for granted. All those things, take note of them. As much as possible, if you're doing business, try and separate the expenditure on your business from your individual or your personal expenditure, so you're able to determine exactly how much is going there. Last but not the least, on that side, we have collecting receivables too slowly, especially for those who give credit, trade credit. You are giving trade credit and then the people are not repaying. You're also not chasing them. It can also affect your cash flow. You have to take note of that. For managing your cash flows, these are the best practices. Our time is going, but we'll be moving. These are the best practices we should take note of. The most important thing is that monitor your cash flow regularly. Monitor, always keep your eyes on the money. How much am I having now? How much am I expecting? How much am I owing? Then you are putting things in place to ensure that you are not found lacking at any point in time. Cut your cost or control your cash outflows. Try and manage how much goes out. In many instances, you are able to manage some parts of it. Some parts you can't manage much, but you can think through alternatives. Sometimes you have to partner with other business and decide that, okay, this thing we are traveling to go and buy. If we come together and we take one vehicle, one truck, your goods can take half, my goods will take half. We pay the driver once and then we are able to share. That is something you can consider, because the cost of fuel will be high and it will not come down because of you, nor because of your business. So you have to find ways around it. Always keep buffer money. And so the idea some people have that, Charlie, money must work for you. So every money they put in their business, every money they put in there is a good thing. But you should always have some reserve somewhere. Save something somewhere. Have some buffer. In case of emergency, you are able to reach out there and use it. Otherwise, if all the money is in the business and it gets locked up for one reason or the other, you'll be found wanting. Separate your bank account for your business. And that one, I can't say it enough. Every occasion I get to engage business people, I tell them, if you are running a business, yes, you might be an entrepreneur. You might be a sole proprietor. You may be running your own business, a one-man business, but still separate the business account from your personal account. Otherwise, you realize you are not able to see how profitable you are. You may be making losses, but you may not be seeing. Or you may be making profit, but you may not be seeing where the money is going. So separate them and account for them separately. And so you have to keep records. So what is record keeping? It refers to the orderly and disciplined practice of storing your business records. It's very important. It helps you know how much money your business receives and how much money your business pays out. Some 5 benefits of record keeping. It helps you identify your sources of income and expenditure. If you sit down and you decide to keep records, you're able to see that, okay, these are where I get my money from. These are my top customers. These people, they don't do very huge volumes, but they are regular customers. So you are able to deal with all of them appropriately. It helps you provide documentation needed to compute taxes. If you have to pay your taxes, you have the documents to support you. It is required for full benefits or participation in certain government programs. Usually, if, like I mentioned, you may be having an NGO or government programs where they are willing to support businesses. And they say, okay, bring the records that show that you have been paying this amount or you have been receiving this amount. And so you'll be able to handle this amount if we give it to you. If you don't have any records, it becomes a problem. Number 4, and that's something we are speaking about, is required to obtain loans or other forms of credit. Required to obtain loans or other forms of credit. And the last one is, it helps you to make informed financial decisions and plan for the future. Helps you to make informed financial decisions and plan for the future. You can write it on when it comes to record keeping, the tools that we know generally has mainly been on paper or in book. You can get an exercise book, you can get a ledger, whatever you are comfortable with. Get somewhere you can be writing your income, streams of income, and your streams of expenditure. And then you're able to determine whether you are making profits or you are making losses, where your money is going and all that. That record keeping is very important. But in today's day, I will not be promoting any particular one. For those of us who are more into technology too, there are a lot of tools currently that businesses can use that help in record keeping. So those ones, if you go on the net, you'll see a lot of them. Sometimes you get them even advertising to you. Like I mentioned, I won't mention any particular one, but it's something you are interested in. It's something you can keep in the palm of your hands at any point in time. You can see how much money is leaving your business, how much money is coming in, who are your top customers. All that record, you can keep them using technology. So that should not be a problem. But some of the important things you should make sure on your records are the dates of the transactions. The dates. It helps you also monitor the periods. Also, who was involved? Who am I collecting the money from, or who am I giving the money to? Which institution or which customer? What was and also what was the transaction about? Is it that I was making sales, or I was paying for transport, or I was paying for this or for that? And how much money was involved? These 4 things, make sure they are part of the records that you are keeping. Very important. So some of the source of documents can be invoice, receipts, deposit slip if you make a deposit at the financial institution, payment voucher, and all that. Very important. And you can keep them as cash book, assets records, sales and purchase records, debtors and creditors records. These are all the various things you can keep. You can decide to have one book and have all these things in that book separately. You shouldn't mix them, otherwise you can get confused. If I want to see who my customers are, I should be able to go into that particular record and get that data from there. Okay, so we've spoken about accessing loans and credit from financial institutions. I'll briefly go into insurance and pensions, then we can go to Q&A. Insurance, many times as businesses, we have a feeling that I'm throwing my money away by putting money into insurance because nothing is going to happen. We are in a church. We'll say, oh, we pray. God with us. We are sorted. There's nothing to be worried about. Yes, we all pray that nothing evil will happen to us. But we are also aware that anything can happen. And when it is coming, it will not knock. It will not inform you sometimes that, oh, a huge trouble is going to happen, so prepare. Nobody knew COVID was going to come. Nobody knew that there was going to be a war. I mean, the attempt was there, but I'm very sure that for most businesses here, I'm sure some of us were listening to news at that time, maybe last year, December and the rest, and we heard that Russia was around Ukraine and was threatening to go in there. But it's likely we may think, oh, this is foreign news. They should just stop what they are doing and then we go about our business. Not realizing that it will come and affect you in one way or the other. So you may not plan, but others may have seen it and would have put measures in place to ensure that they will not be found wanting at this time. And so as businesses, we should ensure that if it's about taking insurance, we take it, especially life insurance. As sole proprietors, usually what happens is that you may be the breadwinner of your business, of your home. There may be so many people relying on you, your spouse, your children, of course, your employees and all those people. But the most important people to you, who even if you are not around, should be able to survive, are usually your spouse, your children, and some other relatives. Now, if you take a good life insurance policy, it means that whether you are not well for one reason or the other, you have become physically disabled, and so you cannot do the business you are used to. Maybe you are a driver and you are making a lot of money, and now you can't drive any longer. Or you are bedridden, or you even pass on. What happens to your family? And that's why we take insurance. But be mindful of the kind of insurance policy you are taking. There are so many of them. Be mindful of which one you are taking. If you are taking for education, you know that this one is for education. If you are taking life insurance proper, you know that this is life insurance. You have to consider your age and the kind of policy that will be suitable for you. Now, the younger you are, the cheaper life insurance is for you. Per the calculations, they expect that as you are growing older, even it gets to a certain age, you cannot sign up onto life insurance if you are too old. Because they believe your risk level is down very high. And so why should they be taking, say, 10 Ghana cedis from you? And then tomorrow they have to pay 200,000 Ghana cedis. But if they are taking 10 Ghana cedis from somebody who is 23 years, they are comfortable with that. Right? So you should take some insurance for yourself so that whether you are indisposed, you are not in a position to continue your business, or whether you are not around at all, you've gone to be with the Lord, your family can still survive. And then with pensions, for many of those in the informal sector, many don't tend to have pensions, and that's unfortunate. So you realize that the person is 60 years, 70 years, 80 years. The person wants to work, because if you don't work, you don't make money. Traditionally, people have a lot of kids, they work on their farms and all that, and so when they can't work any longer, the kids will continue doing the work, and then they'll be taking care of them, and they'll just be in their rock, their chair, and they'll be smoking their pipe or whatever they want to do. But things have changed. Our families are now nuclear family. Even your nuclear family, You can have your kids living elsewhere, staying elsewhere, busy with work. In these times, your child could have completed tertiary and could still be sitting at home, no job. So if all your investment was that, oh, I'm taking care of you, when you finish school, you'll be able to take care of me, and this person is also at home, not working, what happens? It means you should continue working, even though you are 65 and 70 and you feel weak in your bones. And that is why we have the pensions. Those in the formal sector, they are able to get something from SNIT every month. If you are doing your own business, you can go to SNIT office and register, sign up, and pay for pensions. Contribute towards your pension, so that when you turn 60, you can have some money that can take care of you. Currently, the contributions towards SNIT, towards pension at that level, the contribution should, to be able to qualify for the monthly pensions that people have been receiving, it means you should have contributed for at least 15 years. That means if you are going to retire at the age of 60, you should start paying making your contributions to SNIT before 45 years. If you are already 45 years, all hope is not lost. We also have other alternatives for you. Per the current law, we have the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And because we are going into business, we should be aware of both the tier 1 and the tier 2. So that when we have employees, we know that we can make payments for the tier 1 and tier 2 for them, because that is statutory. The law expects that it is done. Tier 1 goes to SNIT. Tier 2 goes to a regulated body. It's regulated by NPRA. And what happens is that they've been mandated to take care of your contributions for you. And so at the end, when you go for retirement, or when you decide that I want to have access to my funds, and per the law, in this case, it should be above 10 years of contribution. Then you can have access to your money, and they don't pay monthly. They'll give you a lump sum. So now the laws have changed a bit. SNIT will be giving you the monthly one, but you rely on the tier 2 for your lump sum contribution. Right? But the law also allowed for tier 3, because some people were like, yes, I'm contributing tier 1 and tier 2. But me, myself, looking at how much I'm contributing, and per the calculation, when I go on pension, the money I'll get is small. So I want to pay extra. So you can do that under tier 3. That is also done, not with SNIT, but still with those institutions that manage our pensions for us. We can go into detail at another time. Like I mentioned today, I don't want to go too much into details for any of them. We are at the Q&A session. If you have any questions based on the things I've mentioned, you can go ahead and ask. So we are the Q&A part of the discussion. Thank you very much.